were normally chilly and cold in both Kameno and Makoyo. Nyambura felt the cold bite into her skin as she sat on her already full water barrel. She looked fixedly at her young sister, who was still in the process of filling hers. Then she looked at the pale dark water of the river. It flowed on just as it had done for years, making incessant gurgling sounds as it made its way around the projecting rocks. Nyambura was fascinated and felt attracted to the river. Her breast, glowing with pleasure, rose and fell with a sigh. She felt something strange stirring in her bowels. It was an exhilaration, a feeling of acute ecstasy, almost of pain, which always came to her as she watched the snaky movement and listened to the throb of the river. The importance of Honia could never be overestimated. Cattle, goats, and people drew their water from there. Perhaps that was why it was called Cure. And the valley of life, that is what it was, a valley of life. During the initiation ceremonies, boys and girls came to wet their bodies' hair on the morning of circumcision. It had long been discovered that very cold water numbed the skin, making it less painful during the operation. Nyambura thought of this and felt slightly guilty. She looked apprehensively at her sister, who was still drawing water. Nyambura wondered whether such thoughts ever came to Muthoni. She thought not, and envied her. For Nyambura had learned and knew that circumcision was a sin. It was a pagan rite from which she and her sister had been saved. A daughter of God should never let even a thought of circumcision come to her mind. Girls their age would be initiated this season. Had her father, Joshua, not been a man of God, he, no doubt, would have presented them as candidates. Nyambura, sister. Nyambura woke up from her wicked reverie. Her sister had spoken to her. Nyambura looked at her and wondered, what was worrying Muthoni? What was gnawing at the young girl's spirit? Nyambura was in no doubt that something was the matter with Muthoni. All through the week, and in fact all through the last 2 months, she had noticed something moody and restless in the young girl. This had pained Nyambura. She loved her sister. Indeed, the two were inseparable. They played and worked together. Nyambura was older, but it was not easy to tell this. Both were fairly tall and well-formed, about the same height and looks, though Muthoni's skin was darker. They had the same sharp but strangely restless eyes. Their hair was thick and shiny black. It was tough, but to the eyes it looked soft and beautiful to touch. Nyambura's features seemed hard restrained. Where she was quiet, Muthoni was vivacious, so it was not surprising that Nyambura should have noticed this sudden change of spirit. Coming to the river that morning, Muthoni had been more withdrawn than ever before. Nyambura was deeply disturbed because her earlier attempts to coerce her to reveal her troubles had failed. Now she waited for her to continue. Muthoni was sitting on her own water barrel. "I want to tell you something," she said. "Oh, please do," Nyambura responded eagerly, her curiosity sharpened. "But promise me that you will keep what I tell you to yourself." This was an appeal almost of fear. "Well, first tell me about that something," said Nyambura carelessly. She wanted to make her sister feel relaxed and soften the tense look on her face. Muthoni raised her face to Nyambura. This time the appeal was quite unmistakable. "Please, sister, don't tell father." She looked at the river, at the slightly swaying bulrushes lining the banks, and then beyond. Nothing moved on the huge cattle road that wound through the forest towards Kameno. The yellowish streak of morning light diffused through the forest, producing long shadows on the cattle path. The insects in the forest kept up an incessant sound, which mingled with the noise of the falling water farther down the valley. They helped to intensify the silence created by Muthoni's statement. "Circumcised?" At last Muthoni found her voice. "Yes, but father will not allow it. He will be very cross with you. And how can you think of it?" Nyambura could visualize Joshua's fury. if he heard of this. Besides, she continued, you are a Christian. You and I are now wise in the ways of the white people. Father has been teaching us what he learned at Syriana. And you know the missionaries do not like the circumcision of girls. Father has been saying so. Besides, Jesus told us it was wrong and sinful. I know, but I want to be circumcised. Why? Nyambura asked helplessly. She knew quite well that her father would not hear such a thing. Every man of God knew that this was a pagan rite against which time and time again the white missionaries had warned Joshua. Perhaps Satan had gone into Muthoni. That was how the devil worked. Nyambura tried to reason with her sister. Yes, tell me, why do you want this? You know this is the devil's work. You know how he tempts people. You and I are Christians. Were we not baptized long ago? Are you not now saved from sin? Nyambura was becoming passionate. She breathed hard and felt a warmth inside her. She was defending something. She was trying to save her sister. I know, but Muthoni paused. She had never seen her sister like that. With that light in her eyes, she felt weak in the knees and thought she was gone. But the next moment she jumped up and rushed to her sister. She spoke earnestly and passionately. After all, she too believed in what she was going to do. Nyambura clasped her arms, and they remained locked in each other's arms like little children. Nyambura became alarmed at the passion in Muthoni. She looked gently. Father and mother, look, please, I want to be a woman. I want to be a real girl, a real woman, knowing all the ways of the hills and ridges. But Father, remember him? Why? Are we fools? She shook Nyambura. Father and mother are circumcised. Are they not Christians? Circumcision did not prevent them from being Christians. I too have embraced the white man's faith. However, I know it is beautiful. Oh, so beautiful to be initiated into womanhood. You learn the ways of the tribe. Yes, the white man's God does not quite satisfy me. I need something more. My life and your life are here in the hills that you and I know. She spoke now, looking beyond Nyambura as if to some other people. Then she lowered her voice and whispered secretly. Father said that at the mission there is that man, Livingstone, and many women. Those are his wives. And do you think that he, a man, would marry a woman not circumcised? Surely there is no tribe that does not circumcise. Or how does a girl grow into a woman? Muthoni had now released herself from the grasp. She now stood and looked away from Nyambura. Nyambura could not say anything. She did not follow Muthoni's logic or line of thought. She had never thought so deeply about these things. She was content to follow whatever her father said was right, and she feared his anger. Muthoni turned, and again she held her sister, appealing with her eyes and her body. Please, sister, don't tell father. They both began to weep into one another. Nyambura's heart softened and she felt pity for her sister. She honestly wished that she could help her, but felt her own powerlessness very acutely. What else could Nyambura do? She tried again to remonstrate with her sister, without any result. In her heart, she knew that once Muthoni had resolved on something, it was difficult to make her change her mind. She had inherited this stubborn spirit from Joshua, a man who, once he made up his mind, was hard to deflect from his set purpose. Honya River flowed on. The insects went on with their incessant sounding, mingling with the fall of the river. The whole scene became fearful to Nyambura. She no longer felt excited. Even the warmth of the morning sun did not awaken her. She loved her sister and now was troubled because she did not know what would happen. They took their tin water barrels and began their slow ascent of the ridge back to their home in Makuyu. Suddenly, Nyambura heard a slight groan from her sister. She quickly turned around. A look of dismay was on Muthoni's face. Her water barrel was rolling down the slope back to the river. Nyambura and Muthoni had to go down again. A bad omen, Nyambura thought. End of chapter 6.